Welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show, featuring URC. Here's your host, Sean Hannam.
Good morning. Welcome to the AWE Breakfast Show. Yes, my name's Sean Hannam. I'm a freelance journalist who specializes in writing about tech, retail and music. And I've been in the CE industry for more than 20 years. And I'm going to be your host for this week's AWE Breakfast Show sessions at EI Live Interactive. So as part of this virtual week-long event for the home tech sector, I'll be talking to industry representatives from brands including Sony, Ring, URC, Epson, Denon, Marantz, Definitive Technology from Sound United, LG, and also, of course, AWE. So at the end of this session, we'll be holding an interactive Q&A with our guests towards the end of the session. There'll be the chance for you, the viewers or listeners, to send in your questions for the panel during the show. So if you can get thinking about those questions, that would be great. And in order to do that and send your questions, maximize your computer screen, go to the viewers control panel on the webinar platform where you can submit the questions during the show, and we'll discuss them with the panel towards the end of the session. Now, for this morning's half-an-hour session, we're joined by URC and AWE to talk about control solutions, which are a key part of every integrated home. And I'm really looking forward to this session, as I'm a bit of a control freak. So we'll be finding out more about this dynamic market, looking at some of the latest products and tech from URC, and identifying and discussing some of the current trends and issues in the sector. So first, I'd like to introduce my guests, Kees van Vendel-Doyoda, International Sales Rep for URC, and Mal Fisher, CTO at AWE. And I'll be keeping you guys under control this morning, as it were. So good morning. Hi, Mal, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. Good morning, Sean.
Cool. And where are you this morning? You look by that fireplace from behind, which I recognise from yesterday's session. I would suggest you may be at AWE headquarters in Epsom.
It's a good guess. It's not a company fireplace that we install in everyone's house. I'm here in the headquarters.
Great. And how's it in Epsom this morning?
It's grey, it's cloudy, it's the same, very, very similar to how it's been for several months now.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background in the industry, how long you've been in tech, and what you kind of do at AWE?
I have been in this industry for 18 or so years. I was an installer for a few years and then came to AWE, one of my suppliers at the time. And I've been here for almost 15 years now. And so now I run the technical departments and the training departments here.
I'm going to find out a bit more about AWE in a minute, but now I'm going to introduce Kees. So Kees, and you're joining us this morning from the Netherlands, aren't you? Yeah, correct. I'm here in the Netherlands, a bit in the mid-south of Netherlands, so approximately an hour south drive from Amsterdam. And if I drive another 45 minutes, I'm already in Belgium. That's how small the country of the Netherlands is. How long is it to get to Belgium on a bike? Ooh, an hour and a half, an hour 15. Well, I used to do that in that time, maybe a bit longer now, since I haven't driven a bike for quite a lot of time. And how long have you been in the industry? What's your background in tech? Well, I've been in the industry, I think, for almost 15 years now. Back then, I started as a URC trainer, also area sales manager for the distributor that was handling URC at that point in time. Okay. And I was, at that point in time, starting to train distributors all over Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia even. And today I work for URC as their international sales rep for this part of the world. And setting up and training distributors all over Europe, Africa, Middle East. But not much traveling at the moment, sadly. No, this year is a bit of a sabbatical when it comes to travel and training. So, but it's good that you can also do a lot of things remotely. I think that's one of the things we learned, that there's so many other ways to contact the people that you want to do business with. And Teams, Zoom, all the other platforms, it works actually quite well as well. It's a bit more boring to do everything remotely, but I hope we're going to get back to normal at any point in time next year. You can control everything from home, which is kind of what we're talking about today, really, I guess. So, Mal, let's go back to you a minute and talk a little about the background on AWE. Can you just give us a little bit of history on the company, just a potted history kind of? Yeah, by all means. AWE is a 85-year-old company this year. It started off in manufacturing and mending radio equipment, moved through sort of manufacturing lighting systems for airports, and 20 years ago got into the distribution to CI market through Pioneer 6-disc CD players and what then became plasmas. So we've done 20 years of that business and moved to this headquarters about 6 years ago, I think. Yeah. Great. And Kees, can you tell us a little bit more about URC, some of the background to the business? Yeah, well, URC is a global leader in smart automation and control solutions, and we do that for both the residential and the commercial markets. We've been in the market for 30 years now. And yeah, believe it or not, we've sold more than 100 million remotes in the past 10 years alone. And that large number also comes from our OEM work that we do for many big brands like LG and Denon. So chances are that you already have a URC remote built by URC in your home without even knowing it.
Yeah, it's probably down the back of the sofa. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And well, we've been in the market for such a long time. We also have the largest library of control codes in the industry. The company is headquartered in Harrison, New York. We also have offices in Korea. Products are being manufactured in Korea. And at this moment, we offer 3 different product lines to choose from. The first and oldest one is Complete Control, and that's a line of PC programmable IR and RF remote controls and base stations. Secondly, we have MX Home Pro, which is more like a residential multi-zone control system. And the third and premium product line is called Total Control, and this gives you control and automation for both residential and commercial spaces.
Let's focus on Total Control platform. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how it's kind of developed over the years?
Yeah, pretty good. Well, as I said, Total Control is our flagship control system, and it's been on the market for almost 10 years now. It's a processor-based control system where you can choose from a variety of handheld remotes, wall-mount keypads, portable desktop controllers. And 3 years ago, we had a major update to our system when we went to 2.0, giving us a lot more customizability on the screen, so you can really create a personalized interface for your end users. And actually, this year, in a few weeks from now, we will be launching our new line of multi-zone audio products, together with an updated version of the programming software called Accelerator 3. So yes, these are exciting times, and we have lots of things coming out soon for you. So
one of the main things we're here to talk about today is the new high definition audio range, so the HDA range, which includes amplifiers. So can you talk us through some of the highlights of the new HDA range and some of the kind of great features and USPs that are available?
Yeah, sure. Well, the new line of amplifiers is called HDA Audio, and we did show them at the ISE show this year, last February, but for some reason there weren't so many dealers around traveling to Amsterdam back then. So we want to launch them soon. Yeah. The new amplifiers will have ICE power amplification modules inside, so giving you 100 watts per channel. And like the name implies, we can stream high resolution audio, 96 kilohertz, 24-bit audio between amplifiers. And we do that by using AVB network switches. And it's as simple as connecting each amplifier to the AVB switch, where that protocol then will simply separate the high-res audio streams from the main network.
Okay.
We also have more amplifiers to choose from right now. We have an 8x8 amp, so 8 stereo inputs going into 8 stereo audio zones. And we have that same amplifier in a 4x4 configuration. And a new amplifier in our lineup is the 1600, HDA 1600, which is a 2x 600 watts into 70 volt amplifier. So great for integrating with your garden speakers or commercial speakers as well. And the one that excites most dealers when we show it to them is the single zone amplifier. This is a very small amplifier. You could easily mount it behind most TVs. You can also power it PoE++, and it has an optical audio in, so great for connecting your TV audio to that amplifier, after which you can play it over the local amplifier, play it over the local speakers, and also stream it to the other amplified zones in the system. So great for your party mode. It also has a sub out, so you can easily create your 2.1 system. And the amplifiers also downmix Dolby Digital and DTS formats into stereos for sharing them with the other stereo zones in the house. So a very well, you can do a lot with these amplifiers.
One of the messages we're talking about today is obviously high def audio. Do you think, maybe let's ask Mal this, do you think that the high def audio side of things sometimes doesn't get the attention it deserves in the whole integrated home space? And if so, why do you think that is the case?
No, it definitely doesn't get the attention, but I think it's probably because hearing is maybe the most neglected of our senses, and it's also the one that doesn't have the most catchy buzzwords. 4K, 8K, they're all, they're visual, they're exciting, and tend to get the attention, whereas high-res audio, 96K, FLAC, they haven't really got the buzz.
Knocked it off a minute then. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I haven't got quite the beard that you have, Sean, so I can't talk about high definition.
I'm last here, guys. I've been in the industry shortest and have the shortest beard.
So you think maybe does it often get left behind at the expense of other areas, the audio side of it? So home cinema, as you say, lighting and security. We don't often hear a lot about kind of your kind of Sonos and your kind of that kind of system, but sometimes the high def stuff gets lost in all the noise, if you pardon the pun, doesn't it?
To an extent, yeah. I think it's one of the things that's regarded as convenience factor. It's not an essential. Lighting, you need lighting. Security, you need security. If you're going to build a cinema room, you're going to try and make it look and sound as good as you possibly can. Whereas I want music in every room, people aren't necessarily going to fork out for that. And as a result, it does get neglected.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that is the appeal of the new HDA, the high def audio range, is suitable for both residential and commercial environments. So can you tell us a little bit about why it's applicable for both sectors of the home integration market?
Well, I mean, so it's one ecosystem. So the 8x8 amplifier and the 4x4 amplifier, the single zone amplifier, they're stereo amplifiers, and they'll deliver you a zone of audio, but they can also be combined with the HDA 1600, and that's your 2x600 watts stereo or individual mono amplifier. And that really takes you into your commercial space. That gives you your 70-volt options. It gives you your phantom power on your microphones. All of the amplifiers have features like paging, like ducking. They can all store inbuilt WAV files for notifications. And these have applications in the home as much as they do in the workplace and in commercial spaces. So that one product range, however it's configured, can cover all of those options. Any inputs to those amplifiers will stream to any outputs of those amplifiers. You can have any combination of those amplifiers. So you can even have a crossover system where one area is going to be the standard sort of 2-channel stereo zones, and an external area is going to be your 70-volt system. As long as they're connected by the AWE network, you've got a multi-room system.
Case, do you want to sort of comment on the kind of how they're applicable for both sectors of the market?
Yeah, definitely. We did design the amplifiers for the commercial markets in mind. So there's a lot more that we have built into these amplifiers. So, for example, you can have the 8-zone amplifier can be configured as 8 stereo audio zones, or you can do that as a 16 monozones amplifier, or any combination of the two. And there's also a lot more DSP available in the amplifiers to cater for the commercial install. So you can set your high pass, your low pass filters. You can even set the Q or quality factors in the parametric EQ. And actually, that part where you can store these wave audio files in the amplifier, actually, it's one of my favorite parts of the amplifiers, because I think it's really nice if you can play some audio events over the music with audio ducking, and not just for commercial, but also for residential spaces, where I just like the idea of not standing down the stairs yelling for the family members to come for dinner, but simply push one button on the remote and everyone gets notified that a lovely dinner is prepared. So you can be a lot more creative with these features as well in both residential and commercial spaces.
That's quite a nice feature to demonstrate, isn't it? If you've got a space in your store or in your installation, your headquarters with your installer, to be able to demonstrate those kind of features, a kind of wow factor, isn't it? That when a customer comes in and you can have some fun with it as well.
Yeah, it's when you can also applications along with that high definition audio as well. It's a nice blend.
Yeah. Also, what kind of content suits the HDA range best? I guess we can talk a bit about the content.
Well,
go for it.
I'll go for starters. In case, but
yes, so keen to talk about the new product.
Really, as long as we can integrate well with it, then it's all fine. So things like the HEOS Link and Superlink are a fairly natural add-on to give you your streaming services in, but anything that's got a 2-phono input, all of the amps have audio sensing on them, so you can configure macros to happen if something is played into one of those inputs. So that means you can automate your music system pretty easily.
I was going to ask Case, what would you say is the secret to kind of great programming software? You talked about the accelerator software earlier, you touched on it. Can you tell us more about that and kind of what makes a great programming software for the user or for the installer, more importantly?
Yeah, I think a few things are very important. One is that it should allow the programmer to work quickly and do small or even big systems very quickly. So the programming software that creates you all the interfaces automatically, it really is the way to go, because with systems that have a phone and a tablet and a touch panel and a few remotes, if you want to do that all manually, it's simply way too much work, and you can't make that into you can't materialize that into an offer easily. What it also should do is that it automatically should create you all the basic macros for your activities, like watch TV or listen to radio. That should already be built for you. And because our accelerator software builds all that tedious, it does all that tedious work for you, you still have time left to create some real automation, to make some specific things happen that matter to your end user. So yeah, speed and in creating you these graphics and also creating you all these macros. And another important part is that you should still be able to customize everything that has been built for you. So the software does all the hard work for you, after which you can change it into whatever you want it to be and make it really a personalized interface and experience for the end user.
That's quite a big trend now, isn't it, in consumer electronics? It's to kind of personalize products, whether it's, you know, from smaller pod products, you know, like a phone, right up to the kind of top end. It's one of those buzzwords at the moment. Everyone seems to be at it, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. One thing I forgot to mention about software is that we also have a secondary version of the software, tying into your earlier question about residential and commercial projects. We have Accelerator, which does all that for you automatically, so you don't have to spend that much time in creating interfaces and macros. But if you need to do a very specific job, like for a boardroom or maybe a sports bar or a restaurant where you want to have the floor plan of the restaurant as your layout, where you can simply press on a table to make things happen, then you can also program that in a separate version of the programming software called TC Flex. And TC Flex is basically designed for the commercial markets, and it allows you to create whatever you want to do manually. So we have these two versions available for you, and yeah, you can pick which one suits your project best.
We've heard a lot about the features and the technology. I'd like to sort of focus a bit now on the training. So maybe bring Mal in. What about the trainings available on URC products via AWE, and what do basically dealers and integrators who want to get involved with URC and AWE, how do they go about that?
Oh, firstly, get in touch with us. We're running hourly sessions regularly, serving as an introduction to total control, so a slightly longer explanation of it than you're going to get here today. So if you want to sit with either me or Tilak and go through the range and work out what's best, what suits you the most, what you want to discover more and learn more, that's just a simple 1 hour discussion point. Come with your cameras and microphones switched on. We don't really like to lecture people. It's fairly boring. And once we got beyond that, we work out what's the best training path for you. Because if you're new to the industry, you're going to have a different training path to what someone who's a very experienced programmer, but we can cater for both. Also, there's a dealer portal for registered URC dealers, and in there are a mixture of training courses from lengthy explanations of the entire software process down to really, really small, sort of granular descriptions of certain processes. So if you want to integrate Alexa, then there's a 5-minute video explaining to you how you do it and where it goes in the software. So you can really drill down on those courses.
Okay. I wanted to sort of widen things out a bit and look at some of the more general topics and industry trends at the moment. So when it comes to control systems, what do you think are the big opportunities for retailers and integrators? So how can retailers make the move into control systems? Is URC a good starting point for them? Maybe, Case, could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, well, for sure. One thing that's also added on the new programming software, on the Accelerator 3 programming software, is an expressway version, and that could be a very good place for retailers and beginning installers to get started. You won't have to spend so much time on getting yourself trained on the expressway version because it doesn't have all the automation features built into the full version. Still, once you've got yourself trained up and you know how to handle the expressway, the simplified version of Accelerator, you can still easily step up to the full version, and you can also migrate, your programming files seamlessly into the full version. So that first step up, I think, is a good way to get started if you don't have a lot of experience in doing this on the programming side. And secondly, we also plan to release our new entry-level controller soon. That's going to be called the MRX5, bringing the price of an automated control system even a bit more down than it already has been. Okay. And with Total Control, you'll have a very scalable system because you can get started with an MRX5 with the expressway of the programming software. And as soon as you need to step up, as soon as the system is growing or the customer wants to have more things built into the system, you can easily, step up to an MRX10 in the same system. No need to reprogram anything. You simply replace it with a bigger processor with more capabilities, and and there you go. So it's very scalable, and I think it's important with custom install businesses that they can continue to service their clients in the future as well, and grow with them and with the system as when they have to.
You talked about, we touched on this earlier about kind of the affordability of some of the products, and obviously there's been an explosion in smart speakers, probably even more so since lockdown, with people stuck at home and wanting to be able to control things and entertain themselves. Do you worry that the kind of explosion in smart speakers means that people are sacrificing kind of quality for convenience, or do you think actually that it's good to kind of raise awareness of the smart home and what, you know, ultimate control systems can do? What's the kind of effect that lockdowns had on the market and kind of these off-the-shelf DIY smart products? Mal, maybe you can comment a bit on that.
Sure. Off-the-shelf DIY products, controversially, I think they're great, not because they themselves are great, but our markets, in the first 10 years I was in this business, trying to explain what we did for a living, what we worked in, was a real challenge. And my wife spent years just introducing me as a geek. It works. I can't deny it.
It's not very good at dinner party sometimes, though, is it? Can you know, be on your own in checking at someone's record collection or making sure they've got their house wired up correctly while everyone else is having fun.
Don't comment on people's houses. You get into all sorts of trouble for that. I have in the past. But it's good because now people are much more aware of smart lighting systems, as they're described, as smart audio systems. We would just refer to as connected devices. And it's good because of a couple of things. One, because they become aware of it. They become aware that there's a market in it, but also then they're becoming aware of the limitations involved. And that could be the limitations of the product itself. Can it do everything they want? Probably not. Most individuals have interesting ideas about what they want to do with their own space. And they're having a lot more ideas at the moment because they're spending a lot more time in it.
Yeah.
But also the limitations of their own ability to get that done. So their own ability to put this stuff in, have it working reliably, working in particular ways with the equipment they have in the environment that they have. And that's when it becomes obvious that this industry very much needs to exist. All of these devices are coming into the home. Are they being used correctly? Are they being implemented with other stuff? Are they secure? Are they opening a big red hole in your network? At that point, yeah, it's. I think it's a great way for people to become aware of what we do. And one of the better parts of what we do in terms of control is tying those together. If you want to integrate with all of the high-end equipment, absolutely, we can do that. But Philips Hue,
yeah,
we can do that too. So as long as we can cover those bases, we can cover a very wide market.
Okay, so I was going to ask you what effect you've seen the kind of COVID have on your kind of sector of the market and on the kind of, you know, the integrated home, smart home market. Has it been good for the industry? Has it been bad? What's your take on it?
Well, I can't say it's been good, but I can say that most dealers seem to be very busy. There's a lot of work out there. There's a lot of people who are working from home now. They see that their wireless network has limitations, so they want to have that fixed. And people, I think, want to have a bit more convenience in their homes. I think we all realize that it's quite possible that we'll be stuck to our homes a bit more often. So having some comfort in your home, some good audio in your home, also some convenience in your home, I think is a good thing to add. And also things like, I think there's more installers doing things like outdoor audio speakers.
Good point.
And all of that, because of, it's going to be, we're not going on holidays these days. Why buy a nice new shiny car when you can't drive it anyway? So I think there's a lot more emphasis in the homes these days, and that's exactly what we cater for. And one of the things that stand out so well when you work from home more often is that if you're simply using your phone for controlling things like music, you know, working from home, it's not so easy to quickly mute or skip music when you're doing that when you're using your phone. I've had it a few times when I was listening to music at very high levels and the phone would ring. I would try and bring down the volume, but my phone was ringing already and I had to take that call. So I simply prefer to have my remote with me at all times. And when I'm listening to my music playlist from Deezer and I don't like the song, I simply press skip next. And when I want to make a call, I simply press mute. And that's a lot better than doing it from your phone. So convenience, I think, is important, and more people realize that there's much more you can do right now with the systems that are available that can really tie all these, you know, things that you have in your home, that you can tie them together.
You touched on music there, and as we're going towards the end of the show now, we've got about 5 minutes left to get some questions in from some guests. But before we go over to the listeners or the viewers, let's talk about some less heavy industry topics. You mentioned music, so I'm going to ask Case, what would you say your favourite album of all time is?
Of all time? Wow. I think from my youth, maybe Violator from Depeche Mode. I was always a sucker for Depeche Mode. I like the album.
The first band I ever saw. I saw them on that tour when I was 18 in 1990 at Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena. Yeah.
I think it was my biggest first concert that I saw in Rotterdam, Ahoy, with my big brother, and it was quite an impression.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mal, what about you? What's your favorite album of all time?
Favorite album? I think you have to be in the mood for certain bits of music, but I guess I taught myself guitar by trying to emulate what was going on Eric Clapton's Unplugged album. I'm still trying. It's a long time since, but so that's probably my favorite album and my biggest challenge.
Yeah. I was going to a final question as well to you guys is, we talked a bit earlier about being at home. What are you most looking forward to after lockdown lifts, when it lifts? What have you been missing most during lockdown? Case?
Well, I just missed the opening of the Carnival season here in the Netherlands. It's on 11th of November, which is always a big party, and that didn't happen. And it's likely it's not going to be a Carnival next March as well. So it's these things. And it will be nice to have an ISE show in Barcelona next year. Having some tapas on the Ramblas in the evening with maybe 22 degrees Celsius instead of cold Amsterdam, but let's hope that will happen next year again.
Quick answer from you, Mal. What are you missing most?
Sure, yeah. I do miss going out and seeing people. I do miss that sort of social side of work. It's a great shame to be missing out on that. But probably I'm most looking forward to an uninterrupted cricket season.
Great. I'm now going to go over to James Drummy, AWE, to see what questions we've had in. So James, our roving reporter, should be joining us now. Look at that. Where are you? In the home cinema room? Oh, we can't hear James at the moment. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we are.
Yes, I'm in the cave here in the cinema.
So have we had any questions in from the viewers?
Yeah, I've got a couple of comments as well. Piotr is saying, agreeing with hard buttons are much better than using the phone. And we've had a question on voice control as well. Can you use Alexa?
Yep, you can. It's built into the platform. So in fact, it's built into one of the remote controls. So like Case, I came prepared to. But yeah, there's a microphone with push to talk on it for Alexa. We can also link into Google Assistant. I realize now that by saying the Amazon word, I'm probably saying off everybody's different place. I muted mine over there, so I'm looking smoke. And this one's push to talk, so it's not going off. But yes, we can natively integrate with both that and Google Assistant.
Right. Another one coming in. I was trying to read this question here. Petra's asking if there is any chance to control URC system over API REST. Please let me know.
We can control devices with a REST API. I don't know if he's talking about the reverse aspect of that, and that may be where I get too geeky for this particular show, but feel free to take that one offline and send that to me so I can get a clear idea of what you want to do.
Save it for those dinner parties you go to with your wife.
Absolutely, that's when it gets wild.
Yeah, and there's one last question here about can you use the high-res audio within home cinema?
Well, you can take a feed. The amplifiers have pre-outs on them, so you can feed them into AV amplifiers. We also have another device called the HDA-IO, which is either a stream input or a stream output, which you can then connect to an AV amplifier. Yes.
Great. Cool. Great. Well, thanks to my guests now. We're coming to the end of the show. So big thanks to Case from URC and Mal from AWE. It's been great to talk about control systems. I've learned quite a lot. I'm not a geek, but I do feel that I have actually educated myself a little bit thanks to these guys who do know a lot. So, you know, the geek shall inherit the earth, as they say. So don't forget to listen to the rest of the AWE breakfast shows from EI Live Interactive this week. We've got loads more great sessions, and you can join me tomorrow from 9 o'clock bright and early when we have another session. So I'm going to go off and listen to some Depeche Mode now, and then maybe I'll try and swat up on the rules of cricket, because I've never really understood that. But maybe I'll ask you about that later, Mal. Great. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for watching the AWE Breakfast Show.